I'm not the prejudiced person.
My reputation has always been, since childhood, a very controversial person
You think that's prejudice? You call each other niggers
with some strong opinions that could be uncomfortable for people.
all the time. Hey, that nigga doing that, that nigga doing that, that nigga doing that.
So, in that respect, I understand Charlie Kirk. A lot of what he said was taken out of context.
Do you like when guys beat you?
I love it.
You love it?
I'm not an expert by any means about the guy, but I can say that he was really spitting the dirty truth.
Why do you like Negroes?
Honestly,
Yeah.
because they're hotter than white guys.
I was with a friend of mine yesterday, and that friend said that Charlie Kirk basically hurt people's feelings by being brutally honest. All right, so there's been so much talked about over the past couple weeks or so about freedom of speech. And one thing I think a lot of people don't know about me is that I have always been a huge proponent of freedom of speech, the First Amendment, things like that. And when I think about what happened with Charlie Kirk, I think about my show, A Date with Deante. It was a reality series that I created online, and it ran from 2008 to 2013, 81 episodes. Very, very controversial, very, very shocking. I played it for entertainment, and I interviewed people, male, female, crackhead, drug dealers, regular people, homeless people, people that were just horrible parents, pretty much any type of person that you can think of. I interviewed them. And over the years, I've interviewed business executives, multimillionaires, celebrities, public figures, and everyone has the same type of way about them, meaning they're human, they make mistakes. Everyone has their own opinion. And I often put my opinion out into the world when I was doing A Date with Deante. My reputation is, before the past 4 or 5 years, when I became an author, podcaster, and was elevated to this different level of person, my reputation has always been, since childhood, a very controversial person with some strong opinions that could be uncomfortable for people. So, in that respect, I understand Charlie Kirk. A lot of what he said was taken out of context. I'm not an expert by any means about the guy, but I can say that he was really spitting the dirty truth. I was with a friend of mine yesterday, and that friend said that Charlie Kirk basically hurt people's feelings by being brutally honest. And the dirty truth is symbolic of that. So I would say Charlie Kirk, in most cases, from what I've heard and seen, he has been a beacon of the dirty truth. And I think it's important to understand why that's important. But I want to share the screen and show a couple things that I think are very, very important to share. Okay. So let me go here and look at the screen. Okay. So right here, this is what it says that freedom of speech is. Freedom of speech is a principle that supports the freedom of an individual or a community to articulate their opinions and ideas without fear of retaliation, censorship, or legal sanction. The right to freedom of expression has been recognized as a human right in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and international human rights law. Now, I understand that we all want to claim freedom of speech when it's something that we care about and something that we share the opinion on. But I also know that what we don't usually say is that we love freedom of speech until it's something that we don't like, that someone is saying freely. Just like yesterday, Donald Trump, he mocked Jimmy Kimmel for being taken off the air for exercising his freedom of speech. But when it came to something that Trump agreed with, he was all about freedom of speech. And Jimmy Kimmel, as of this moment, is off the air indefinitely because of something that he said that was pure freedom of speech. It wasn't cruel, it was just an opinion. So here's the thing. When I was doing a date with Deante, I had so many people at my throat because of how I would interview people, especially young women. I would ask them very directly.
My favorite position? I don't know. Like, I don't have a favorite one. I do.
What's yours?
Doggy for sure.
Doggy for
I
sure?
fucking love doggy.
Oh, you're a freaking cocksucker.
Yes.
That is so hot. Okay, so like when you're like sucking on some dude's
What do you
rod,
wanna know?
like do you go right to his testicles too? Do you suck testicles?
I'm called Jiggle Kiss for a reason.
Jiggle kiss? They call you jiggle kiss?
Jiggle Kiss.
Why? Because you like testicles. You suck testicles.
She kisses. I'm like, mwah.
Oh, that is so hot. What is it like sucking testicles?
She likes it.
Do you like when guys beat you?
I love it.
You love it? You're perfect right now. Whoever raised you, I'm happy they raised you this way.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
My mama raised me.
Shout out to mommy for doing this kind of job. Why do you like Negroes?
Honestly,
Yeah.
because they're hotter than white guys.
You were telling me that you would be okay with herpes. Why is that?
Because you can't die from it.
So you said your favorite diseases is chlamydia and gonorrhea.
Yeah, because they're treatable.
That is awesome. Have you ever done any type of drugs, or
Yes.
what type of drugs have you done?
I've done all the drugs.
What's your favorite drug to do?
Heroin.
Heroin? Holy smokes. What if I told you that I have some heroin in this bag? What would you say?
I would probably ask you if I can buy it from you.
Like if I wanted to do some heroin with you, how would you feel about that? Because I've never done heroin before.
I wouldn't let you.
Why?
You've never done it before. Because it's so addicting. It's ridiculous.
Do you think you'll ever give it up?
Yeah, I'm not really doing it now. I only do it like once a week.
She was only 23 years old in that video. And it's devastating in so many ways, but I got a lot of flack because I was talking about drugs and heroin and all that stuff, and then I did the bag trick where I said, "You see this bag? What if I told you I had heroin in this bag? What would you do?" Now, I did that stuff because my whole being was my curiosity about people. Why do we do what we do, say what we say, think what we think, believe what we believe? And that was my motivation, really to understand people. And I said a whole lot of things that was brutally honest. So Charlie Kirk, this is a guy that said a lot of things that were brutally honest, that hurt people's feelings. It's just like telling somebody things that they want to hear and they love it, but things they don't want to hear, they hate it. So that's the way pretty much all of us are. It's the same thing as if you go up to a person and you say, and I'm sure this is something that Charlie Kirk would use as an example, this type of thing. If you go up to someone and you say, "Wow, you look like you lost about 30 pounds. You look so skinny now. That's amazing." That person is going to be so happy to hear that. And you'd be saying it because that's the truth of how you feel. That's your opinion based on looking at them, right? But if you said to that same person or to someone else, but let's just say the same person, if you said, "Oh my God, you look like you've gained about 30 pounds. Wow, you look mighty chubby today." That person would be outraged and infuriated, and they would probably call you a jackass or an asshole. The interesting thing is that while they're calling you that, all you did was say the same thing. You said the truth of what you saw, your opinion. But one sounds favorable to their ears, the other sounds like you're being insulting. And you're not being insulting. In both cases, you're being honest. So it's no different than Charlie Kirk saying what he said. So I applaud him on saying things that sometimes we just need to hear. But it's so inconsistent in this world. The whole concept of freedom of speech is just so inconsistent because we supposed to have freedom of speech, and yet we're not able to achieve that across the board. It's you can have freedom of speech as long as I agree with you. And that I mean that's just ridiculous. And then the other thing is that I don't think violence has a place in this world, especially when someone is saying something that is just words. Now, words can be powerful. Words can be sometimes as powerful as a gut punch or a punch to the nose. I understand that because I've always been, in some way, shape, or form, someone that was judged and criticized. I'm the person that people called weird. I'm the person that people called fat. I'm the person that people called nigger. And none of those things sound good, but I got to a place in my life a long time ago where I realized that when it comes to people and their ways, their opinions, whatever, it's not for you to try to change them or judge them. It's really for you to remove yourself from the situation if you don't like the way they say, behave, act, think, speak, whatever. And you will find yourself having a much better lifestyle. Now, if you one of those people that like toxicity or negativity or just that type of energy, by all means, be a part of it. I personally choose not to be a part of it as much as I can possibly do. So when I think about Charlie Kirk, I think about The Dirty Truth. I think about A Date with Deante when I did that show. I start receiving death threats in season three. And I did the show for 6 seasons, but in season three, I started receiving death threats. Ironically, I changed the format of the show and started having it available on DVD for people to buy DVD beginning in season four. But in season three, as well as the first 2 seasons, I had the show available online where you can just go right and watch it for free. But my decision was really motivated to take it away from being online. It was motivated by people getting in my ear telling me, you need to sell these. People will buy these. I didn't go into it with the intent of making money from it, but after 3 seasons of me putting so much effort into it, people started saying, you need to sell this. Now, there's a lot of things that I would do differently if I was able to go back, but by putting it on DVD, a lot of things people they couldn't see unless they bought the DVD. So that was kind of a thing where I admit I got nervous. And who knows if I had kept on doing that show and quote unquote pissing people off, who knows what could have happened to me, God forbid, of course. But I would say things very direct to people. As a matter of fact, there was a time when October 2010, I did an episode that aired in October 2010, filmed it in September, and I was interviewing a girl, and the things I was saying to her, I was just judging her in a very opinionated kind of way based on the things that she said and the way she presented herself. So I called her, I told her that she was a raging alcoholic. I told her that I said, listen, you would be great in the ghetto. And she says, why? I said, because you're very stupid and because, you're a decent looking white girl. And then, so by her friends hearing that, they had a big problem with me calling her stupid and this and that or whatever. But the words that she was saying that she had gotten all these DUIs and she didn't care about this or about that, and she had been in and out of jail, and she was just a young woman, and she had an 8-year-old child, and I asked her what her 8-year-old child would think of her, and she said, "Oh well, she would like me and all that." And then I was just being honest about it. I said, "Listen, the types of things I would say to people, I would say, listen, you have the morals of an alley cat. You do realize that, right?" And that's me evaluating. Now, people said, "Oh, you're just trying to hurt their feelings. You're trying to exploit them." I say, "Listen, if I'm trying to exploit them, then I'm exploiting the words and actions of consenting adults because they would sign releases. And even the times before when I wasn't doing releases, they stood in front of a camera knowing full well they were being filmed, and they had the choice to answer or not answer my questions. There was a girl named Susie, the girl that I had talked previously about that did crack to celebrate being pregnant, finding out that she was pregnant. And I asked her in an interview, I said, how many people have you been with sexually? And she said, probably about 200. Now, at this point, she was 27 years old. People got on my case because of that question. But I think it was really more because of her answer. Because if I had asked the same question and her answer was, oh, 3 people, no one would have felt like I was exploiting her. No one would have felt like, oh, what a creep. But because the number was so big, it made it look like I was making her look bad when she's the one that did it to 200 different people. She's the one that admitted it. She could have easily said what Mark Furman said in the OJ trial when they said, hey, did you call black people niggers? And Mark Furman said, I wish to assert my Fifth Amendment privilege. She could have said that. She could have walked away. Now, I wouldn't have wanted that, but it would have been her prerogative. So this whole thing about free speech and spilling the dirty truth and just being honest and having your opinion and all that kind of stuff, it's so much of a tangled web. And it's kind of ridiculous because of how people they kind of navigate that for themselves. I love freedom of speech as long as it's something I agree with that you're saying. If you don't say something that I agree with, then I'm going to forget about free speech. You see how that works? It was just like with Dr. Martin Luther King. This guy was exercising his freedom of speech, whether you liked it or not. If you were a person, let's say a white person in the racist South of the 1950s and 60s, and Dr. King was talking about, I want people to bond together. I want black men and white men and Jews and Gentiles to be together. If he said that kind of stuff, because he did, and you were a redneck southerner and you just like, man, I don't want no colored people to be bonding together. Listen, we deserve to be our own kind of color. If you feel that way, that's fine. Feel that way. Just don't go and shoot nobody or kill anybody or strangle anybody or anything like that. Let people say what they want to say, and if you don't want to hear it, just don't hear it. Go somewhere else. I mean, it's not like he's on your property. If he's on your property, that's a different story. But even though there are things that Charlie Kirk said that I personally feel uncomfortable hearing, a lot of times that discomfort came from not that it was bad or a lie or something like that. It came from it's actually honest, brutally honest, and I feel some type of way because it's so brutally honest. And maybe he might be talking about me, even though he doesn't know me. I'm thinking to myself, and that's what happens with a lot of us. We just don't admit it. So doing a date with Deante gave me a great understanding of the complications of just saying your truth and saying how you feel and putting your opinions into the world and hoping that people don't attack you for it. Definitely not in a violent way. If you want to go back and forth with me, I might engage in a little bit of back and forth, but I'm not here to debate you. Now, that's Charlie Kirk's thing, and that's fine. I used to be one of those people, but I don't need to be right about something. I don't. Not for an opinion. Listen, I believe that Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player in the history of this planet. And a lot of other people do too. As time has worn on, there's people that feel like other people are, namely LeBron James. There are people that feel like LeBron James is the greatest basketball player ever, that he supplanted Michael Jordan, who was sort of the de facto greatest GOAT, as it were, of all time. I don't like to hear people say something to the contrary that Michael Jordan is the GOAT. But I do welcome people's perspective. And I would like for people, if you want to talk about that, give me your reasons why. I'll give you my reasons why I think Michael is. I love LeBron, but I'm not going to put him as number one. I'll put him number two, but I'm not going to put him as number one. But I have my own reasons. But I'm not looking to shoot somebody or strangle somebody or even yell at somebody just because they don't agree with me. Now, do I wish in a perfect world they would agree that Michael Jordan's the greatest? Probably so. But tell me your perspective as to why you feel that someone else is, whether it's LeBron or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, whoever. But there's no violence that's going to come from me, and it shouldn't come from anybody. We should be able to have conversations, spirited conversations, and where we can be enthusiastic about our points and about our dirty truths and just saying it like it is without people thinking that we're being cruel or mean or yelling or something like that. If I say, listen, you are a raging alcoholic, okay? A raging alcoholic, okay? You live under a bridge and your bath water comes from the nearest pond. You don't even brush your teeth. Listen, your teeth look like pieces of corn that's been stepped on. Now somebody might say, "Oh, that's unnecessary. That's cruel." You don't have to say it all like that. Okay, fair enough. But sometimes that's just the way you want to say it. And sometimes that might be the way it needs to be heard by the person. But no matter what, you can say things even in a way where it's not quote unquote that direct or that harsh, and people are still going to have problems with it. Like if you say, yeah, you don't really smell the best and you do drink a lot. It's people that will be triggered by that. I believe live and let live. I'm not stupid where I just assume that the world is all about like like a wonderland, like Alice. I don't think the world is like Disneyland or make believe, wonderful, everything is perfect type of stuff. All I'm saying is that I'm not going to get caught up in the things that the media and social media and each other, we as people get people riled up or get people trying to believe a certain thing that we believe. I'm not, you're not going to lure me into thinking that black people are bad and white people are bad. And listen, everybody's bad and everybody's good. That's that simple. Some have a little bit more in them than others. Some have a little bit more good in them. Some have a little bit more bad in them. But we need to be able to handle disagreements and opinions. You don't get injured by them.